I talk about immigration and when I talk about illegal immigration and all the problems with crime and everything else, I think of a great man, and I want to just introduce you to him for a sec. Do you know who I'm talking about? Who am I talking about? Nobody knows right now because we've kept it a surprise. Senator Jeff Sessions.
Candidate Trump's first and most fervent supporter in the Senate, Jeff Sessions, now the Attorney General of the United States. General Sessions, welcome to This Week. Thanks for coming on this morning.
Thank you, George. Good to be with you.
Let's go back to that contract with the American voter that Donald Trump had. Top of the list of this border wall. I want to put it up on the screen right now. He said he was going to end illegal immigration, fully funds the construction of a wall on our southern border with the full understanding that the country Mexico will be reimbursing the United States for the full cost of such wall. As you know, the president is trying to get a down payment for the border wall in the government funding bill that needs to pass this week. Democrats insist it's a non-starter. So is the president going to insist on that funding even if it means a government shutdown?
I can't imagine the Democrats would shut down the government over an objection to building a down payment on a wall that can end the lawlessness. We've already received, George, a 60% or so reduction. March was the lowest illegal immigration month in 17 years, but our goal is not to reduce it 50, 60, 70%, but to end illegality, create a lawful system of immigration where people apply to come here, they wait their turn, a system that we can be proud of as Americans.
So the president won't sign a bill if it doesn't include funding for the wall?
Well, he'll make those decisions. I'm not engaged in the budget negotiations, but I know one thing. We need that wall. It'll help us complete the promise that the president has made to the American people. That's what they want. The American people have a right to expect it, and I believe Congress will eventually deliver.
As you may know, it's not just the Democrats who are opposed to the wall. The Wall Street Journal reports that not a single member of the House or the Senate from the border states would commit to funding the wall. None of the 4 Republican senators in the border states. So he has a problem with his own party there as well. And, you know, you say the Democrats would shut down the government. If the president vetoes that bill, he's likely to get a lot of the blame.
Well, I don't know about that, but I'll tell you one thing. He deserves credit for General Kelly for a complete reversal in the morale of the Border Patrol and officers that we were with. General Kelly and I were Thursday and Friday in Texas and California. We are reversing that. You know, that's one reason I supported him. I truly believe that we could do this, and this is a tremendous achievement that a lot of people thought was impossible. And I do believe this wall, this barrier, is going to be essential in ending the illegality. It will save us billions of dollars because the numbers of people that are coming will be reduced dramatically. The amount of drugs entering our country will be reduced. The number of people we are housing in detention centers will be declining. We're going to get people out of the country to these countries that aren't taking them back after they're due to be deported. It's going to save us hundreds of millions, billions of dollars. So this is going to be a great achievement for the American people. It's good and decent and the right thing to do.
You sound quite confident right there. Do you have any evidence that Mexico is going to pay for it?
Well, we're going to get it paid for one way or the other. I know there's $4 billion a year in excess payments, according to the Department of Treasury's own Inspector General several years ago, that are going to payments to people, tax credits that they shouldn't get. These are mostly Mexicans, and those kind of things add up. $4 billion a year for 10 years is $40 billion. There are a lot of ways we can find money to help pay for this, but in the long run,
how are you going to capture that money?
What's that?
How are you going to capture that money?
The Department of Treasury several years ago, under the Obama administration, said that if you changed the regulations and enforced it properly, it would save up to $4 billion a year. There are other things that we can do at the border to create revenue that would pay for the wall. There's no doubt about that.
But in your discussions with your counterparts in Mexico, they've given no indication at all that the Mexican government is prepared to pay a single cent for this wall.
Well, I don't expect the Mexican government to appropriate money for it, but there are ways that we can deal with our trade situation to create the revenue to pay for it, no doubt about it.
Let's go on the situation with the Dreamers, those immigrants who were brought here as children. The president has said they should rest easy. Some of his conservative supporters, including Mark Krikorian, are saying that's a broken promise from the president. Let's listen.
During the campaign, now President Trump had said he was, going to end that on day one because it's an unconstitutional action by the president. And, of course, he's right. It's illegal. And they've done nothing to it. They've done absolutely nothing.
He goes on to say that work permits are still being issued to Dreamers who didn't have them before. So is he right when he says this promise has been broken?
Well, I think the president is honoring his promise to end the lawlessness at the border. The first thing we need to do is to stop the additional flow of illegal people into our country. Many of these are involved in criminal enterprises, hauling drugs and that kind of thing. We need to end that. And then we've got to wrestle with what to do about people who've been here a long time. But I would say that the president is honoring his commitments to the American people to fix this border, and we're going to stay at it. The Border Patrol is working very hard, and so is the Department of Justice. We're going to back them up.
Even though he hasn't kept this specific commitment right there, the president did say, as I said this week to the Associated Press, that the Dreamers should rest easy. He's not going after the Dreamers. That's his policy. He said, is it the policy of the Justice Department?
The Homeland Security has primary jurisdiction there. Their first and strongest priority, no doubt about it, is the criminal element that we have in our country that have come here illegally. So they're focusing primarily on that, and there's no doubt the president has sympathy for young people who were brought here at early ages.
So they can rest easy?
Well, we'll see. I believe that everyone that enters the country unlawfully is subject to being deported. However, we don't have the ability to round up everybody, and there's no plans to do that. But we're going to focus first, as the president has directed us, on the criminal element, and we've got to get that under control.
Your Justice Department this week sent a letter to several cities and the state of California, these so-called sanctuary cities, warning that they're putting their federal funding at risk if they don't begin to cooperate more with the federal government. The Attorney General of the state of California has responded to that, Javier Becerra. He's coming up on our program next. And he says that federal threats to take away resources from law enforcement or our people in an attempt to bully states and localities into carrying out the new administration's unsound deportation plan are reckless and jeopardize public safety. Your response?
It's nothing reckless, it's nothing extreme about saying that someone comes through our country unlawfully and commits a crime, another crime in the country, that they should be deported. That's what the law says. You shall be deported. So it also says that state and local governments cannot bar their police and law enforcement officers from sharing information with the federal government. In other words, if a person commits a crime in Los Angeles, or in the case of Kate Steinle, San Francisco, and an individual there is released multiple times, and he comes back to San Francisco because it's a sanctuary city and commits a murder, that's the kind of situation that person should have been deported previously and not allowed to return. There's nothing extreme or unreasonable about that. I urge our mayors and our politicians to listen to their law officers. Let's work together. Let's cooperate between the federal and state authorities. Let's remove dangerous criminals from America. It only makes common sense.
That letter did raise the ire of one prominent law enforcement official here in the state of, in the city of New York, the New York City Police Commissioner James O'Neill. He was responding to this sentence in that letter you sent. It said, New York City continues to see gang murder after gang murder, the predictable consequence of the city's soft on crime stance. Commissioner O'Neill said that makes his blood boil, and the record shows that crime is at record lows right now in New York City, murder below the national average.
Well, that statement was focused on the sanctuary city policy, but look, for decades...
It said soft on crime.
I know. For 4 decades, New York has been a fabulous city for law enforcement. They've developed some of the best techniques ever. They're so far ahead of many other cities. I think we all should study the tactics that have been developed. Rudy Giuliani and others over the decades have really transformed New York. They've proven community-based policing, broken windows policing can make cities safer, save lives, and other cities need to be studying what they've done.
It sounds like you're taking back what you wrote.
Well, that was a statement that went out dealing with the sanctuary city situation. The police officers of the Sergeants Association has made a statement saying Jeff Sessions is correct. This is a soft-on-crime policy. But look, we want to work with our mayors. We want to improve law enforcement in America. Half of the murders in New York are gang-related. Many of those are gangs who have illegal aliens involved in them. So why would you not want to deport those and make the city even safer?
Let's talk about the travel ban. You're taking some heat for comments you made on the Mark Levin show this week. I want to play them for our audience.
I really am amazed that a judge sitting on can issue an order that stops the President of the United States from what appears to be clearly his statutory and constitutional powers.
Of course, that island in the Pacific is the state of Hawaii. You've been blasted by Hawaii senators. One called it dog whistle politics. Your response?
Look, they filed a suit. The plaintiffs get to choose the venue. They filed a lawsuit in Hawaii, and the first decision on the new executive order came out of Hawaii. And all I was saying was the president.
Why not just call it the state of Hawaii?
The president, nobody has a sense of humor anymore. Look, the president has to deal with the Department of Defense, the National Intelligence Agency, CIA. He knows the threats to this country. He is responsible for protecting America. This order is lawful. It's within his authority, constitutionally and explicit statutory authority. We're going to defend that order all the way up. And so you do have a situation in which one judge out of 700 in America has stopped this order. I think it's a mistake, and we're going to battle in the courts, and I think we'll eventually win.
At a rally last month, the president said this current ban is just a watered-down version of the original. He says the administration should go back to the first one, push that one all the way. Why not do that?
The first one was lawful. I got to tell you, I totally support the president's view that the first order was lawful, but we spent tremendous amounts of time to respond and write it in a way that would satisfy the courts. I'm even more confident that the second order will be upheld, and the president has every right to say that when you have dangerous countries, 6 countries, 3 of them are state sponsors of terrorism. 3 of them are failed states with terrorists in them, that we need to be really careful. He's got a 90-day pause in the entries from those countries. That's a reasonable thing. And to try to review how we vet people from countries like that and be careful about it. I think he has a duty to protect America, and the American people should support him 100%.
General Sessions, thanks for joining us this morning.
Thank you, George.